What's going on, Illumineers, and welcome back to the Madhouse. And today we're definitely doing something a little mad because we are showing off an aggro gameplay. This isn't the traditional Steel Song that I'm normally playing. This is my aggro version, and you almost can't even call it Steel Song. There's no aerials, there's no Zeuses. It's really just Amber Steel aggro. And this is a list that I've really enjoyed since the beginning of the set, something that JDRR and I worked on, and then I've kind of made adjustments as I saw fit. I've loved the Calhoun since the beginning, the Tianas since the beginning, and we've added in Kitas in this list, but I think looking at it, if you were to make any changes, I would look at replacing the Kitas with Gantus if you're facing a lot of red, and then the Tianas with blues. And I think doing that, you would probably be better off into the majority of the meta. And that's probably where I'll go with this list if I make changes. But as far as this gameplay goes, let's talk about it. There's pretty critical things in both games. Game one, the critical thing to look at is the mulligan. There's two routes, there's two lines that I could have gone with my mulligan. One arguably being the better route that I don't go. And that definitely important to look at. Pay attention to that because it could mean the difference between a win or a loss, because I decided not to go that safer route, and which was again arguably the better route. And then in game two, I decided to be really cute and make some trades that I really just didn't have to make. I could have just been an aggro player, which this song is an aggro deck, and I could have just quested out and turned sideways. Instead, I made some trades, and if I hadn't made those trades, then I would have won 2 or 3 turns sooner. And you have to remember that when you're playing an aggro deck, you're not controlling anything except for you're controlling everything. And what I mean is that you are forcing them to react to you. So the moment you start making trades is the moment that you're now reacting to them. So you're changing it. You're giving them the control, and that's not what you want. You want to always be in a position where they have to react to what you do, even though you're not playing a whole lot of control aspects and control cards, right? So just keep that in mind when you're deciding, do I want to trade here? Do I not want to trade here? Do you need to trade? Or can you just turn sideways and make them trade for you? Okay. Things to keep in mind. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know what you see that I could have done differently, things like that. And I will see you around. Stay happy and healthy. I'm out. All right, let's start this match off with something pretty special. Listen to this.
Okay with losing the Steel Song.
All right, we'll move on. I'm okay with losing the Steel Song. That's not the case always, right? Especially when I'm playing this aggro version, you'll see that it has a little bit of a harder time into purple steel, and that's what makes this pretty exciting to watch, because there is, I made some mistakes that I shouldn't make when I'm playing the aggro version. And that's just the difference between playing the aggro version and me normally playing the traditional. Things that I have to pick up on, things I have to do better. And we'll talk about those when they do come. But we're coming up on the mulligans, and we will focus on those to begin with. So let's go ahead and get those up. And bam. Okay, so in the intro, I talked about how my mulligan in the first game is going to be really important because there are multiple lines that I could have taken here, and I took what is arguably the worst line. So I know that I'm playing a purple steel aggro deck. I know that he has Maleficence. I know that he has cantrips, but I'm playing an aggro deck as well. So with this hand right here, the first thing to notice is we've got Daisy Duck, we've got a Piglet, 2 Docks, Cinderella, the Piglet, and the Smee. Now, looking at this, I can just mulligan way 1 and have a really, really good hand, almost regardless of what I draw. And the reason I say that is because I can go Daisy or Cindy on 1, and then turn 2, my first ink would probably be a Piglet, and then turn 2, I could go a Smee or a Piglet, depending on what I draw, and ink something. And turn 3, maybe go a 2-drop and a Daisy. And then turn 4, I can go Doc and maybe another 2-drop, whatever it might be. The point is that with this hand, I have a really good low to the ground line that opens up a really good turn 4 Doc. And you could even go turn 3 depending on what I have to ink, because I could go Daisy, Doc, and get 2 new cards. And these are all questing for good amounts, me setting up the Rapunzel heal if I draw into a Rapunzel, Daisy Duck can Rapunzel heal if I draw into a Rapunzel. Another line that I could go is I could just keep these three, the Cindy, Piglet, and Smee, which is offering a lot of lore, and then just get rid of the rest of them. And the reason I keep mentioning keeping Cindy is because, again, Cindy's probably the strongest one drop in the entire game. What she's capable of doing with Let the Storm Rage On and Strength of a Raging Fire to control the board so you can quest is unmatched. Then I have a Piglet and I have the Smee. What the third option is, and arguably the worst option, is I go ahead and I keep Cindy, I keep Smee, and I hard mulligan to try and find a song to be super, super greedy instead of keeping a safe hand. And, well, you'll see that I opt to go the super, super greedy route because that's just what I have a habit of doing. But I'm also comfortable working myself out of whatever situation I draw into typically. That being said, that hand -1 dock was really, really good hand, and I could have just mulliganed away one and been perfectly content with that. But instead, I go the Meyer special, super, super greedy, as I tend to do, and I do not get rewarded. We'll get my hand up, and then we'll kind of watch. So there it is. 3 big Kitas, a Simba, a Sven, my Smee, and my Cindy that I kept. Nice thing is, I have easy inkables now with these Kitas that I will not be playing anytime soon. So I still have a good 1-drop, still have a good 2-drop. If I wanted, I could drop the Simba to see what I can kind of draw into and do that route, but we'll kind of watch and see how things play out. And I think we shuffle for a bit. Nope. Okay. There we go. Okay, we are playing here. I ink a big Kita, play the Cindy.
Do it.
He was just not, he was not excited that I played a Cindy on turn 1. But hey, there we go. So needless to say, he didn't have a 1-drop. He let me know later on, but you know, the nice thing about the Cindy, even when you don't have a song, is that they have to now respect that you have the Cindy, and they have to respect that you might have a song. And if you have a Let the Storm Rage On, then that's a lot of good value. Now, also, don't forget to quest with the Cindy. There's nothing that they can do to punish you for questing there. So get that free lore while you can when you're on the play. We see him play the Mr. Silver. I'm going to ink my 3rd big Kita now.
Ink Kita.
And then make a move.
We'll
now,
one for Simba.
One thing I could have done differently here is I should have played the Simba first and then played the big Kita. And the reason for that is when you're inking, you want to, or when you're playing regardless of inking or making your move, you want to do so knowing the full picture. You want to know everything that you have to deal with. So most likely, even if I'd played the Simba and I drew the Pete and I still had the Kita in my hand, I probably still would have inked the Kita, but still, you want to have a full picture in your hand. And I opt to discard the Pete and quest with the Smee and move on. He's playing a super cool green steel hero deck with like Philatides, I believe, from Hercules. Really cool deck, really aggro-esque with kind of that Philatides coming in. He crabs to take out the Smee, and I actually played him in match 3, and unfortunately I had the GoPro on. I thought I was watching it over here. I never clicked the record button. I was really upset. We went 2-1, and the game 2 was really, really good, but you live and learn. I will always now double check the GoPro, but he always makes some really cool spicy off-meta decks that I really enjoy seeing.
Quest for 2.
So one thing I was debating doing here is playing the dock, inking, or just playing the dock, and ultimately I decided not to do that because the Sven is it gave me 2 free lore from the Lilo because it readies the Lilo, and it gets me a 3/3 on board that trades into the crab. So it's just a really win-win situation for me here, and there was just no reason to go to the dock. He's not discarding my hand or anything. I'm not in any hurry. I have the board, and I can just kind of chill out and relax and play the dock when it's convenient for me, when I'm ready to play the dock. Because again, you're aggro. As the aggro player, you're not a control deck, but you very much control the entire game. You are controlling everything that happens because they have to respect what you do and respond to you until they can play their game. We see my beautiful Tiana coming in, and now a difficult situation for him. Even with the crab, it still presents an issue. We love Tiana. Quest for 2. I could have quested for 1 here with the Simba. Not really a good reason not to. Same with the Sven. I could have quested for 2 with the Sven. Again, not a great reason not to. I did do the Lilo simply because next turn I can opt to go Lilo and dock and then ink whatever I draw. So oh, that strength is so beautiful. That strength is such a beautiful top deck because it lets us take out the crab and banish the crab. Question for you guys: when you, I'll have to look. But when you banish a character, where are you banishing them to? Like, what's the actual term for all of you guys that know the lore behind the game? I should do better about that. I need to go read a book or something and figure it all out. But moving on. So we take on the crab because we don't want that +3 to go anywhere. We dock, and I look at blessed again with a let the storm rage on to easily take out a Smee. And then we can quest for 5.
Take out a Smee.
And bless again with a daisy. So now we can just play the Smee and look at that beautiful board. And then I end up questing here. We'll see if I say it. Hang on.
We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 to go to.
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing. I said 1, 2, 3, 4, but that is very clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I only gave myself 4 lore, and I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know if I thought the Sven was a Pluto because I've been thinking about running Pluto. I have absolutely no idea what I was doing there. So yeah, you'll notice a common trend when you watch these videos. Sometimes I do some silly things when it comes to league nights. I'm listening to all the conversation, having a good time with everybody. Like league night, I have so much fun at league nights. I think we have such a great community between Safari Zone, Born to Game, and all these different locations, and I absolutely just have such an amazing time. He does take the fox or bounce to get the fox, and then is able to take out the Tiana. That's why it's so important to take out the crab when you have the opportunity, because if he had bounced the crab with the fox, he could have freely taken out the Tiana and then maybe played another crab if he wanted to, and the game starts to get very different there. But yeah, so when you see a crab, it's important to take it out if you can. We'll unmute it.
Okay. Alright, go ahead and pay 2 for Lilo.
I think technically when you do that, you need to ready everything first and then pay 2. I don't know if it matters ultimately, as long as you do it before you draw, but better safe than sorry to just ready everything and then play Lilo.
6, 7 to go to 18.
Should be 19,
pass.
but I'm special.
Got it.
All right. So.
Yeah.
Good game, despite forgetting that one lore. the big thing to keep in mind from this game is that mulligan at the start is you don't have to be really greedy. And in fact, I don't recommend you be super greedy because I could have been really punished there. But I was able to get some good draws and it all kind of worked out for me in the end. And show, is that all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we've got a zombie Lilo, a Daisy, a Tiana, a Big Kita, Rapunzel, Strength of a Raging Fire, and a Daisy Duck. Looking at this hand, this is another hand that I could have just kept all 7. And the reason I say that is because I can go ink the Strength on 1, or probably ink the Big Kita on 1 to play the Daisy. Turn 2, ink the Strength to play the zombie Lilo. Turn 3, hopefully draw an inkable at this point and ink it to play the Tiana. I could have also just played Daisy on 2 and then inked the zombie Lilo on 2 and then turn 3 Tiana, turn 4 Rapunzel heal on something if the opportunity's there. So a really good hand that, again, I could have just kept 7 and been happy with that, moved on, and guaranteed to have a playable hand that I could win with because I do have the draw from the Rapunzel. The other option is I could do something like keep the Rapunzel, keep a Daisy, mulligan 5, which isn't a bad idea. You could opt to keep the Big Kita just to have an inkable, and that's not a bad idea, but I believe I do end up getting baited by my Tiana. You'll see this a lot throughout this game where I do bait myself from the Tiana. Tiana's a great card into purple decks. It's a really good card into purple, but it can be cumbersome at times when there are better plays. So just keep that in mind if you are going to play her. Don't get baited into playing her all the time. So we'll kind of see what happens with my mulligan here. That would have been an awful idea if I kept that hand. I don't know what I was thinking. I like this hand. This is a good hand to keep. So, yeah. So we keep a 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so in that aspect, it wasn't bad. Now, again, I could have thrown back the Tiana just to get hope for an uninkable, and that could have been a play. Keeping an inkable when I saw so little, or keeping an uninkable when I saw so little uninkables can be a little dangerous.
Alrighty, take her away, sir.
Plays the Diablo. I love that card. So,
Ink Lilo.
The Lilos are here mostly for red decks, right? Especially red-purple. Lilo can all but solo red-purple decks. So I don't recommend inking her a lot if you don't have to. That being said, against purple steel, where they're not doing a bunch of board wipes that clear their own board, then Lilo's gets a lot worse. There are times where you can bring back Lilo, but that's only when you have a really big board or if you're trying to stall the game, because then you want to bring back Lilo to force them to trade into Lilo so they're not questing. And that is a very good option as well. So here you're going to see that I ink a second Lilo because I just want to get, well, I believe I ink a second Lilo. Yeah, perfect. And because I want to get these Simbas down. And here I do make a silly mistake, because I talked about getting baited by my Tiana, and in my opinion, this is where I get baited by the Tiana, because I discarded my Strength of a Raging Fire, and that's what you're about to see. And what I should have done, especially on the draw, is discarded the Tiana, because now I'm going to play this baby Simba, which means that I had 3 characters, so that Strength of a Raging Fire could have removed anything that he wanted to play. Or I could have Strength of a Raging Fire, my own character. I don't know. There's so many other options that I could have done here, and I just didn't because I wanted to have Tiana. So Ultimately, though, should have discarded Tiana and kept Strength of Raging Fire. I feel that would have been the better move. And then now I'm just debating, do I quest with Daisy Duck? Or I was also wondering if I want to draw with the Simba. And remember that Simba draw and discard is optional. And I didn't quest with the Daisy because it would have just been bad trades. If he had Crab or Fox, I would have just lost out on that trade and been in the negative.
Plus for 3.
Mm-hmm.
Pass.
That feels really bad for him not seeing a 3-drop. Ink the Pete.
Link there.
Does challenge work on locations or no? Yes. Yes. It does? Unless it specifically says challenging against characters.
Yeah, so here we just dropped the Tiana. I was debating the Smee, but
We'll go Tiana.
we dropped the Tiana, and then next turn I can ink Rapunzel and play Smee Doc, which feels pretty good. You know, for now. You'll see I draw something different, but it feels pretty good for now. Now I'm just debating, do I quest?
It's only 3.
I was about to say, I was like, what the heck? It's like, I just missed something now. I was like, you're good. I like the break.
This was a pretty exciting night for Safari. We actually had 3 new people. The gentleman next to me, he's not super new. He came to our case tournament, and he may have been here one time since. He just started playing Lorcana, but he also brought his girlfriend, I believe. Actually, let's talk about that for a second. So he had a Diablo right there, that Diablo right here, and I took out his Diablo for absolutely no reason. I had no good reason to take that Diablo out. None whatsoever. And by doing so, I essentially wasted a lore. Like, I could be at 2 lore now, and you're going to see throughout this game, I did quite a few trades that I just shouldn't have done. And if I hadn't have done them, I could have ended the game like 3 turns sooner than I actually did. And I actually put myself in a position to lose the game because I kept doing these silly trades instead of being an aggro deck and making my opponent react to me. So yeah, really silly trade there. I should have just quested. But yeah, so he brought his girl, and she had just started playing as well. So she was playing, having a good time. And then we had another gal come for the first time to Safari Zone, and her boy was playing One Piece, I think, Magic, one or the other. We'll convert them to Lorcana though, because it's better. But it was a great night. We had a lot of newer players here and just having a really good time. Here we were talking about the GOAT Fox, and for the record, if anybody didn't know, if you have not GOAT Fox but Crab Fox, if you have a crab down and you bounce the crab with Fox, you can put the crab on the Fox to have a 4 Fox with +3 challenger. All right. So he plays the GOAT. The GOAT presents an issue because that means next turn he can now remove Tiana. But if he's removing Tiana, then that's fine. She did her job and forced a reaction out of him. So, but now you see I have the Piglet, so it allows me to ink my Rapunzel and go Piglet Smee if I really wanted to. And it looks like that's what I'm thinking. The other option is just ink the Rapunzel and go Smee Doc or Piglet Doc. If I really just wanted to keep digging, maybe find a song and find a Strength of a Raging Fire to take out GOAT. But the odds of that are slim. So again, just develop a wide board, make him react, and be patient. Like that's all. You're an aggro deck, but you still have to be patient. Set things up for you to win. Lots of thinking tonight. Critical thinking going
Rapunzel.
on.
We'll go 4.
Bang.
Go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 damage to her.
5, 6
5,
with daisy trigger.
6 with the daisy trigger. We go to 7.
And remember,
pass.
because of that weird thing with Simba early trading into Diablo, I should probably be at 8 right now. And we'll just kind of keep track of how that lore accumulates.
Take out. Place that 3. We will fire the cannons, Piglet.
Yep.
Feels bad.
We will
Dun, dun, dun.
name castle, play Diablo.
Yep.
And then we'll quest for 2. Go to
Yeah.
Nope.
pass.
Mufasa kills Mufasa. Which one triggers first?
So the acting player triggers first. Yep.
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 Yep. Another, yeah.
And was that turn?
Yes.
Yeah, acting player, you know, if you use your Mufasa to trade into another player's Mufasa, then your Mufasa's effect goes off first because you're the acting player in this situation. So that was the question being asked. Feels bad, actually. Feels really bad. Imagine you flip yours and then they flip a Maleficent Dragon and you lose your character. Like that hurts. But here, you're going to see me make my next really big, in my opinion, my biggest mistake of this game is in this turn right here. And I just, why did I do that? And we'll back up in a second so you guys can see the mistakes don't stop there. I'm about to make another really big mistake. And just why do I do it? I don't know. Again, I think it's because I've been playing so much traditional steel song. I'm still in that aspect of control the board. And there you see I traded into Mr. Arrow. So we'll pause it so we can go back and kind of look at this amazing board I had at the start of this turn. Okay, so this is my board as I'm about to go in and trade. And he has a goat that is there and a Mr. Arrow. I am currently, if I'm sitting at 8 lore, because I should have quested earlier with the Simba. So if I'm sitting at 8 lore, then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that would take me to 14 lore on this turn. Instead, what you see me do is these ridiculous trades that I should have just never done. Like I had no reason to take out his Mr. Arrow. I had no reason to take out his goat because all I did is I made his life easier, essentially, is now he doesn't have to trade into all of my characters. Now he can just kind of relax and do whatever he wants. Whereas if I had just quested with Mr. Arrow, if I had just quested, or not Mr. Arrow, but the Smee, the Simbas, then it just would have changed everything because the Smee would only have 1 damage. So that means that when he plays the Tinkerbell, that the goat can take out the Daisy, sure, and then the Tinkerbell deals 1 damage to everything, and then Mr. Arrow goes into Simba, but then I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 with my 2 Simbas, and I was at 13 or 14, I think I said, so that takes me to 17 or 18, and it's those little things of you're the aggro player. Play it slow and think it out, but at the same time, make them react to you. Don't make their life easier by making their trades for them. That is how you control the game, is by making them play your game, okay? That's it. Make them play your game. That's how you control the game as aggro. Because now things get a little rough. Not super bad, but it's just different. It's just very different. I get my dice ready. I saw the Tinkerbell right, so it's coming.
Yep.
Bang. And I didn't have to get it all ready. So that resist +1 is beautiful on Calhoun. Definitely up there is the best card of the new set, if not the best card of the new set. So now here, I probably should have played. I didn't quest at all, and that was like so many silly mistakes in this game, and it just unbelievably so many silly mistakes because I didn't quest there because of his Tinkerbell, but 2 Daisy triggers ago we saw him get this Elsa, so I had no reason to not quest, and I only I only ended up winning this game, I believe, because of this turn right here, because he misplayed as well. And right there, he used the Elsa to exert the Cinderella, and what he should have done there is use the Elsa to exert the Daisy, and then use Tinkerbell's effect. Like Tinkerbell takes out Daisy, and then takes out the Cinderella. And I believe the only reason I was able to come back into this game is because of that mistake on his part. But again, I should have quested. I knew that he had Elsa in his hand. There was no reason for me not to quest at least Doc and Daisy Duck there. And I don't know why it's loading, because this isn't on the internet. But yeah, I should have just played it out and done my thing. All right, I don't know what happened there. My GoPro media library just decided to go out, but we are back in it. He played the Maleficent, did that whole thing. I was on a whole rant about why did I, do that. I got blessed by his misplay. La-da-di-da. We're back in it. Let's unmute it and see what goes down. And here we get blessed with the Daisy. We have the Lawrence into the Daisy. 4 health on both. Really big issue there. So... and then at this point, we can just kind of quest out, do our thing. We go, we're at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But you see now where I should have won like 3 turns ago, because I'm still at 9 somehow when I should be all the way up at 18. And how crazy is that? Just that one turn changed so much. So, just shameful. Shameful.
Go ahead. Yep. Turn.
All right. So now there's some critical thinking here. We kind of talked through it a little bit in a second. We can kind of... let me see.
You had enough to take it out.
Is there? And you have enough to clear.
Yeah, because this is.
Yeah.
So without seeing your hand, you have enough to clear these 3.
Yes.
Because Tinkerbell?
But if you do have a fire the cannons or something, then you could
I would do it on
clear. Yeah, you could clear him and Daisy with Tinkerbell and fire the cannons.
So,
and then you could go those 2.
Just ink this now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tinkerbell should go here and deal 2 here, and then these 2 in here. And that's just seeing his hand. But you're also about to see that he has a crab, which allows him to do stuff.
Pete, okay.
And I think this was... we talked about this later on after this match, and I think that was the big mistake there, is he should have done Tinker into Daisy, like I said, and then dealt that 2 damage to Pete, and then he could crab the Diablo to finish off the Pete, and then Elsa takes out Diablo, and then he quests for 2 here if he wanted to, because I have to respect the Tinkerbell, because if he doesn't take out the Tinkerbell Calhoun, then I take out the Lawrence. And yeah, so I think quest for 2 here, and then he also has a fox, so he could have foxed the Elsa if he wanted to, and then Elsa lets him exert whatever I play next turn. So there are lines, but we'll kind of fast forward a little bit. There's not really anything else that happens. I don't do anything else that's special this turn. I guess I'll show you. So he does fox the Tinkerbell, and I do think that was a mistake, because the Tinkerbell is not going to do anything, right? Whereas if he had foxed the Elsa, then that gives him opportunity. That allows him to do something. Or he could even fox the crab and have that crab ability available to do something if he wanted to. So he could play the crab and next turn on Maleficent, and that can take out, a Daisy or a Lawrence. But yeah, we'll kind of let it play out in case you guys are curious. And then he plays the Robin Hood here. But again, I shouldn't even be in this position, because I shouldn't. I should have I should have been able to win by this point, except I made silly trades. We draw a dock because that's just how Steel Song goes, and it just does nasty things like that. And we get the Strength of a Raging Fire and the Simba. And here I'm just debating, do I want to Strength of a Raging Fire or anything? And I decide that ultimately it's just not worth it. I could take out the crab or the fox, but it still leaves the same opportunities for him. So we end up playing the Simba. Eventually, we'll kind of just fast forward a little. Yep, so there goes the Simba down. A song we don't need. The only thing we could have hoped for is a 1-drop at this point, because we could have, I guess a 2-drop, a 1 or a 2-drop at this point was all we could hope for. And then we just ink that for no reason. There was no reason for us to ink it ultimately, but we did anyways. So I don't know why my GoPro media player is lagging like this tonight. It's also not full screen.
This is the one where you go forward.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
Tinkerbell. So yeah, we'll just quest for 4. Daisy trigger and pass.
All right. And now there's just not really anything he can do because he has no way to get rid of these 3 because he doesn't have another else or anything. So
I'll take that.
he kind of just picks up eventually when he realizes he can't stop these
What's left
3
in your hand?
unexerted characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, no foxes, yeah.
I know I bounced tank, but it's
But yeah, the biggest takeaway here is, at least for if you're watching for the Agro Steel Song portion, is make them play to you. You control the game by making them react to you. By you just playing your game, you're controlling the game. And remember that. Don't make trades for them, okay? Because they're going to have to make the trades and then try and catch up in lore. So that's really all it is. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I made a lot of mistakes in this gameplay. I prefer the traditional Steel Song list, but I think that this is a very fun version. I think it's still a very good version. And we'll kind of talk about some of the differences between this, another aggro list, and the traditional Steel Song in another video. But the mistakes that I made, and the reason I wanted to do this one so badly, is because they're mistakes that I think a lot of people could make that are important to see and know about. But yeah, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great night, and I will see you next time. Stay happy and healthy.